Geometric transformations. This is a digital lesson, and this is the winter version. This covers the transformations of reflection, dilation, translation, and rotation around the origin. So this is a lot of fun for the students. It starts with a definition of what transformation means and what it means in mathematics. Slide 3 has the 4 different transformations we're going to see in this lesson and a definition, so you can go over each one of these with the students, and then they can refer back to slide 3 if they need a reminder of what each of these means. We're going to start with reflection. So students are going to be filling in the squares to show the reflection on this one across the y-axis. So that means it's equal distance from the y-axis and a mirror image. So to do that, students are just going to click and hold on the squares they want to color in, scroll across, come up here to the fill color feature, and they can choose any color they like. And they can only shade in a rectangle at a time. So that means in this figure there's 3 steps. And there's a reflection across the y-axis. The next one is another reflection across the y-axis of a T shape. And so students are going to shade in, choose any color they like, and there's a reflection across the y-axis. The next slide has that same shape except reflected across the x-axis. So it's going to look a little bit different. And there's a reflection across the x-axis. So there's a few more. We're going to show them how to reflect across a different line. So this is reflecting across the line x equals 1. So it's going to be equal distance from this line, but a mirror image. And then a reflection across the line y equals -1. And then show them how to reflect across the line when your figure is already partly across that line. So these 2 points on the line are going to act like a hinge. So if you just flip this figure straight up, it would look like this. And then students are going to try that on the next slide. Then we're going to move into translation. So translation is moving a figure up, down, left, or right without changing its orientation. So the first one's pretty simple. It's just a square. And we want to translate it 6 units to the right. So they're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, shade it in, and choose a color. And the next few figures, that there's 3 slides, students are going to have 2 movements. So in this one, they're going to translate this figure 4 units to the left and then 2 units down. And there are a couple more here with 2 movements. And then we move on to rotation. Rotation's a little bit tricky. You might want to do the first one with the students. So this one, they're going to rotate counterclockwise 90 degrees. That would put the new figure in quadrant 3, and we're rotating around the origin. So we're going to be using this formula. This formula is used for counterclockwise 90 degrees. So we're going to take each one of the points on the triangle. The first one, -1, 2. If we put it in the formula, it's now -2, -1. They're going to click and hold on a point, and they're going to plot that point, -2, -1. The next point, -1, 4, if we use the formula, is now -4, -1. And they're going to plot that point. And then the final point, -3, 2, is now going to be -2, -3. And then they're just going to use these lines. They can click and hold, move them into place to complete their figure. So here they have rotated this triangle 90 degrees counterclockwise. The next slide, they're going to be moving clockwise 90 degrees. So this time it'll still be in the same quadrant, quadrant 3, because we're moving clockwise. Take all 3 points, and we have a new formula now for clockwise. So they're going to take each of their points and then change them with this formula. The next one will be rotating 180 degrees. Well, that will put it in the opposite quadrant, quadrant 4, and we're using a new formula here. It just changes the sign of the coordinates. Now, on the final slide for rotation, and then teachers have all of the completed slides, so you can check these. They're going to use 3 different rotations. And the students are given the formulas for all 3. So they're going to take this triangle, the 3 coordinates. They're going to rotate first clockwise 90 degrees, then counterclockwise 90 degrees, then 180 degrees, and they're going to have the complete rotation of this figure. Then we move on to dilation. Dilation is just changing the size of a figure by a scale factor. So the shape stays the same, it just changes in size. So if the scale factor is 2, then this figure is going to be 2 times larger. That means students are going to take the coordinates of each point and multiply each coordinate by 2. So the point 1, 1 would now be 2, 2. Negative 1, 1 will now be negative 2, 2, and so on. And then they're going to use the lines to fill in their new square. The next one's a triangle. This one they're going to dilate by a scale factor of 3, so the new triangle will be 3 times larger. And again, they're going to take each of the coordinates, multiply by 3. And then they're shown what to do if their scale factor is a fraction less than 1. So they're going to take the coordinates of each point, and they're going to multiply times 1/2, or divide by 2. And that will make a smaller figure. The final transformation will be 2 transformations for one figure. So they're going to take this figure, they're going to translate it 5 units to the left, and then reflect it over the x-axis. The final slide will just be a review of the vocabulary. Students are going to drag and drop these vocabulary terms into the correct place in the sentence frames. So that is Digital Lesson on Transformations, the winter version.